Catherine Ham, Brian Wilson, Brian Neiman, today's newsmakers, and you. The Morning Majority, 6:30.
WMAL.
7:07 on the Morning Majority. We have KT McFarland with us this morning, Fox News national security analyst. You can catch her. She hosts her own online show, DEFCON 3, at live.foxnews.com on Wednesdays at 2. KT, how's it going? Did you feel the earth move under your feet yesterday?
No, we were in New York. We're not affected by little things like that.
Wow.
Give me a break.
Little jab, huh?
KT's
In fact,
lots
most of the people in New York, thought it wouldn't have made a big deal if you lost Washington.
Wow.
That's ugly.
Taking it from California and New York this morning.
KT didn't even spill her latte. I wanted to ask you about, let's get to serious stuff.
Okay.
So in Syria, any chance for a sort of stable transition there? What's
Syria, you mean in
next?
Libya?
I mean, in Libya, excuse me.
Now, I know that some people want to go on to Damascus,
Right.
to quote Lawrence of Arabia. But here's the thing with Libya. Everyone is so excited, and, it's terrific that Gaddafi is gone, but I'm a trained defense planner. I'm always looking at all the things that could go wrong and planning for those instead of just saying, wow, this is terrific. Because this is the point at which a lot of things have gone very wrong in other countries, whether it's Afghanistan, whether it's certainly Iraq, and even to a lesser extent in Egypt. Now, what are the things to worry about or to look for with Iraq? And it's Gaddafi. Where is this guy? And does he fight? Does he flee? Is he captured? Is he killed? And most crucially, will Clan Gaddafi, whether it's him or his sons, will they go underground and start an insurrection or a guerrilla war? We know they've got a lot of money. Gaddafi was a gold bug. He's got over $1 billion in gold. We know that there are a lot of weapons all over Libya, whether they're in weapons caches that Gaddafi has hidden, whether they're in the hands of the militia, whether they're in the military, Gaddafi's military, which people said melted away when they entered Tripoli. So, all those ingredients are there for an insurrection. So until Gaddafi and his gang are captured, killed, or flee, or they stand and fight, you don't know what's going to happen there.
So this thing could get really ugly.
It could get really ugly, okay, because there's Gaddafi, they're the rebels. How quickly can they establish order? Will they focus on retribution like they did in Iraq? Will they reconcile with the Gaddafi officials in the military and the bureaucracy, or will they fire them like we did with the Baathists in Iraq? Will the rebels stay united? And that's the biggest question. There are over 100 tribes. They were all united, and the rebels were all united in their hatred of Gaddafi. But once he's gone, what is the glue that holds them together, or will they fracture? Because there's a lot of oil revenue they're all going to now start fighting over, and political positions, and it's a regional thing, and so you could see a lot of problems there. And then in our interest, immediately in the United States' interest, is where the heck are all the weapons of mass destruction? We know he had chemical weapons. Where are they? Can they be found? We know he really loved those RPGs and manpads. Well, where are they? Can NATO forces find them? Because presumably we have British and French special forces, maybe even CIA. I think they've been very much helping the rebels. And can they find all this stuff and find it quickly before it gets sold on the black market, ends up in hands of people who might come and harm us?
You mentioned the oil wealth of this nation, and you mentioned the fact that Gaddafi had all these, possible weapons of mass destruction. What we don't really know is who might emerge as the leader of this country, and there are some bad options here, bad options that you wouldn't want to have oil revenue and wouldn't want to have their hands on weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah, and Brian, you point out, to me, the other sort of troubling thing is, who are the rebels? We don't know. We know that there's some Al-Qaeda elements in there, probably not the majority. We know there are a lot of well-meaning Western secular people, but we just don't know who's going to emerge triumphant. If you look at Iran, for example, after the fall of the Shah of Iran in the late 1970s, early 1980s, the initial victors were the wonderful pro-Western secular Democrats who wanted a modern Iran. Well, they were quickly shoved aside because they weren't very effectual. They were quickly shoved aside by the Ayatollahs and the mullahs, and we know how that turned out. And I think that to me, again, another troubling aspect of this is there's been 6 months. The rebels took a long time to sort of get organized to fight. A lot of that was a major assist unofficially from us. But in 6 months, nobody's emerged. The one guy who emerged was murdered last month.
See, this is what concerns me. I think, to me, what Iraq taught us was that we can take down dictators, we can take down governments in the Middle East. I mean, we can do it with military might, but we have a tough time dealing with the aftermath of creating a government. We're not. And how can you be really? That, I guess, without actually being there and conquering the country. So. And we talked to Waleed Ferris about this yesterday, and I didn't really like his answer either, which was, well, we have to do things behind the scenes to really push up the people who we like and give them money, and so that there is this belief in the country that these people will actually take them to lead them down the right road, but. I don't have a lot of confidence in that either. So are we powerless in all of this? I mean, do we just say...
Look, I don't believe that the United States belongs in the middle of anybody's civil war, okay? I mean, I think you can aid them, you can give them humanitarian assistance, you might give military assistance, but I don't think we put boots on the ground. I don't think we have a military role in other countries' civil wars, and that makes me very unpopular because the neocons think we should be, and the Obama administration has certainly done that. So I'm probably the wrong person to ask, but... at the end of I promise you, within a week, somebody's going to be talking about somebody's boots on the ground.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but Lebanon's Cedar Revolution was fairly organic, and then I think we worked a little bit behind the scenes to try and promote the good people, and eventually Hezbollah just has more guns and will kill more people and takes over the democratic process.
Here's the thing to remember. I mean, I was in the Pentagon when the Marine barracks were bombed in Lebanon in the middle of the Lebanese Civil War, and there were a lot of people saying, "Well, I got to put boots on the ground. I got to get involved. The United States has to be there, protect the slaughter of innocents." And President Reagan slowly but surely got out of there. Now, why? Because he had a priority list. And the priority list was not having a land war in the Middle East and the Lebanese Civil War. It was to take down the Soviet Union. And he didn't get distracted. And if you look at sort of modern post-war history, Reagan, the great hawk, the great, the pro-defense guy, he was the one guy who didn't get sucked into these wars. So I think there's a cautionary tale there. And the other point I think that's so important to think about it when you think about the Middle East. In the West, in America, we think, what is a war? A war is something you fight temporarily. Somebody wins, somebody loses, you sign the treaty, and you go back about your business, making money, having a family, raising kids, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. In the Middle East, a war is something that's the normal condition. Peace is the pause. Peace is the temporary cessation of war